Hello, this is Tranna Wintour. Welcome to another episode of my vlog for the Queer Comics channel. I mean, who else can rock a faux fur stole in the middle of July? Today we are talking about coming out. And I actually just wrote a short piece for the Montreal Gazette about my own coming out, so this coincides very nicely. But I don't want to repeat what I've written in the articles, so I think this is a good opportunity to talk about the idea of coming out in a more general sense as opposed to my specific coming out story, which you'll be able to read very soon. I've always had a really strong sense of who I am. I've always known that I was different. When I was a kid, I didn't know the word transgender. I didn't even really know the word gay, obviously, when I was like 3 or 4 years old, but I was always just myself, and I was so fortunate to grow up in a home where I was always free to be and to express myself however I wanted. So I never really felt the need to come out because I was never really in. And I think that's becoming the case for a lot of queer people. There's not so much a strong need anymore to make this announcement, this coming out. Some people still feel the need to have that moment, and that's fine. More power to them. But I've always felt uncomfortable, personally, with the idea of having to announce, that I'm queer or that I'm trans or whatever. I just am. And you can either handle that or you can't, but I don't really give a shit either way. I think coming out, I see it more as just learning to see yourself for who you are, learning to connect with your authentic self, learning to see yourself as beautiful. And I've been thinking about this idea a lot, especially in the past 48 hours, because last night I got to meet one of my heroes, Margaret Cho. She's in town for the Montreal Just for Laughs festival, and she's been a huge hero of mine for many, many years now. And I remember seeing her film Notorious C.H.O. on TV when I was around 15, 16 years old, and it was just such a powerful moment for me, because the message of that show ultimately being to give yourself the power to call yourself beautiful. I think I mentioned this special and this topic in an earlier video, but I think it ties in with the idea of coming out really well, because coming out and being able to be yourself out loud means learning to see yourself as beautiful, means learning to see yourself as being worthy to be seen, instead of hiding. And so in a way, coming out, although we don't think of it as applying to straight people, I think the process applies to everyone, because the process is about figuring out who you are, embracing who you are, celebrating who you are, and not being afraid to be yourself out loud. That's what coming out comes down to for me. Fearlessness, and openness, and not hiding, and just being proud of who you are, and celebrating who you are, and encouraging other people to do the same. That's what coming out is really about. It's about self-expression. It's just about self-love, really. Because when you don't love who you are, or you are not connected to your authentic self, then you're usually hiding behind something. And it's a very liberating experience to be able to reach a point where you are comfortable enough with yourself, your truest self, and you're comfortable enough to express that to other people and not hide it. And so I'm starting to think of the idea of coming out in that broader sense, as it applies to everyone and not just queer people in particular. I guess, once again, I was very fortunate that I've always been surrounded by so much unconditional love that I was always able to be myself at home, at least. Obviously, when I was in school, I was bullied a lot, and I was afraid to show my true self out loud. I never changed who I was because I was incapable of that, because I just, again, had such a profound sense of who I am that I couldn't really ignore that and try to pretend to be someone that I wasn't. But I definitely hid a lot. And, you know, when you come out of hiding and you just say, fuck it, I'm not going to give a shit what anybody else thinks, I'm just going to finally allow myself to be beautiful and show that beauty and let it shine at all times. It is really the greatest thing that you can ever give to yourself, and it's not the easiest thing to give to yourself. You know, getting back to Margaret, you know, in her special she says that, you know, self-esteem, especially in this day and age, giving yourself self-esteem and giving yourself the power to call yourself beautiful is an act of revolution, because we are taught to hate ourselves. You know, and we have those lessons of hate coming at us from all directions, from the media to the culture. You know, the way that there's this sort of uniform idea of beauty that excludes so many people. So, you know, in this culture, if you can learn to give yourself the power to call yourself beautiful, give yourself the power to come out, it is the greatest thing you will ever do for yourself. And I genuinely wish that for everyone. So I hope you're doing well, and I will see you soon.